So I'm going to do a little bonus Belgian here, a little Belgian talk as I adjust the phone a bit. I was talking about Bert's a while back. Bert's went through a hard time with COVID because his business requires a good amount of customers coming in and buying his beer. He's in a kind of an expensive real estate situation, and he's got very loyal customers. And back in the back last Christmas, he had to run a GoFundMe campaign because he's running out of money, and that's really unusual for a business to appeal to its customers. But what was so cool is, man, I think he raised $20,000, and that's just a tribute to the customers. It's a tribute to Bert as a person and as an owner of a business, and his passion for craft beer. $20,000 people just gave him, no return, nothing asked in return. I'm not really of that model. I can respect it, but what I would do is I would go down, and I've done this a couple times already, is I just go down to Bert's and I buy a decent amount of very, very good, expensive beer. And I'm certainly benefiting from it, but I could do without. But it's for a good cause. So I would rather buy a really, really good beer or beers from Bert and put some money in the coffers that way. And this is tremendous. I have never had this before. This is a Watou Tripel. It's a Trappist, St. Bernard's. Oh man, it's $6.75 for one bottle. So if you like Belgians, you got to spend a little bit of money. This is a 12 ouncer, or a little bit less, maybe a little bit less than that. European style bottle there, but it's bottle fermented as we talked about. It's got a beautiful white head. Here's a tip: when you're drinking a triple, these are lighter tasting Belgians. They're high in alcohol, but they're lighter tasting. It's very, very important when you pour this that you pour it with a head. Sometimes when people pour beers, they try to minimize the head, and that's fine for a lot of styles. But a Belgian triple really, really needs a head on it because it filters the beer taste. I don't know how to put it into words, but I've drank some really, really good Belgian triples that were poured flat and didn't have a head on them, and they did not taste as good. Duvel comes to mind, their triple, Duvel's triple. And then I read like the instructions on the back, and it actually is very emphatic that you have to pour with the head. And when I drank it with the head, it tasted much, much better. It like aerated the beer. There's something about glassware too. This is a very, very Belgian style kind of glass. It's open. It's got an open mouth. Try not to block the microphone here. But this is a Chimay glass. So your Belgians typically have a wider mouth, and that allows the beer to breathe. Because it does have a lot of alcohol. It has a lot of flavor. A little bit of air is good for it. Belgians are often better a little bit warmer. They don't have to be served ice cold like lagers do. A chill is fine. You don't want to serve them warm, like maybe like a stout tends to be a little bit warm, like cask conditioned. So it's not going to be warm, but it's going to be a cool beer. But it doesn't have to be ice cold. Like a lager is really, really good cold. Like Yangling Lager is not a great beer. It's a good beer, but it has to be very, very cold. You have to put that bad boy under ice or in the refrigerator for quite some time. Get that thing down in the low 40s, and that's going to taste good. So with your Belgian triples in particular, you have to pour them in such a way that you create a head on it, and it adds like kind of the creaminess. It spreads the flavor out. There's got to be a reason for it, but all I can say is when I drank that Duvel, which is an expensive beer also, it's probably $7 a bottle also, and I drank it when I poured it in such a way that didn't have a head on it, and I was like, this is terrible. Like, why would I spend $7 and drink this? And then when I poured it with a head after I read the instructions on the back of the bottle, I'm like, oh, okay, this is how this beer is supposed to be drunk. It's supposed to be drunk with a head, and it filters, when you drink the beer, it's going through that head, and it's adding that creaminess and that mouthfeel. So, just a tip.